I see the first time I see us in 2025. So exciting.
No. Our first social hour of 2025. This is the best day.
This like the page has turned in my life. New resolutions, the whole bit, new social hour.
Yeah,
Got the new background.
your background looks fantastic.
Do you
Did
know
you
where
get
that?
that from? You got it from a conference, right? Or
Yeah,
tell us where you got it.
yeah. From the Philly conference, because for those who attend conference, there's all of this beautiful signage, and on the stage, all of these great branded um, uh, signs and I don't even know, set decorations.
Yeah.
And I thought I want that in my house. And maybe after Orlando, you can wrap your whole RV with APC logo stuff.
You know, I thought about that actually. If the company wants to reimburse the cost of fuel for me to drive around, I'll gladly put, any sort of vehicle wrap or social media campaign on my RV because man, it's big. It,
Yeah.
it it gets seen. It also gets blown around really easily. So
Well, let's tell everybody where you are and what you're witnessing this morning.
so yeah, so right now I'm in Malibu, California, so on the West Coast, and yeah, we've had some pretty crazy wind here. I feel like I'm a meteorologist now. The skies are blue and there's a little bit of clouds in the sky, but what's behind me that you can't see, well,
Okay.
that's the ocean over there,
Okay. You-
minus some grapes and some window stickers of penguins, but Christmas decorations live on. Anyway, what you can't see in there is to the south of us, there's a big plume of smoke from several fires that have broken out all along the coast. So everything's safe and fine where we're at,
Yeah.
but it's just really, really windy, and I guess the conditions are making things start on fire. I'm not
Oh
sure how
boy.
that works. Back to you, Alex.
No. Well, I mean, just the wind blows and it just keeps going. And if you're in that neck of the woods, we hope you're safe. Hope your family's safe, and um, do what you can to stay clear of that for sure. Um, we have an awesome webcast today. We're going to talk about telehealth. We're going to talk about the Emerging Leaders Program. But there's been a lot happening at APC. One of them, Dave, is the retirement of Marty Johnson. We love her. I know we both hold this special place in our heart for her. She's just one of the greatest people, most genuine people. And I know our members, especially our local chapter officers who have worked with her for decades, almost since the inception of AAPC. She's the longest tenured
Yeah.
employee, but yeah, she's leaving. She has left the company and will enjoy retirement life, and she'll be missed. Do you have a favorite Marty memory, Dave? Uh-oh. Can you hear me, Dave? Oh,
Yeah,
you,
sorry, I
you
just
good?
had to mute myself for a second. I was deep in thought, thinking about all my greatest times with Marty. I've actually had some really good times with Marty at conferences, but one of the things that I always loved about Marty is we had this thing, and I mean, maybe she does it with everyone. I'm not special or anything, but she would always where we'd call each other by our full names. So I'd be like, Marty Johnson, how you doing? She'd be like, Dave Kaiser. And it was just always just so upbeat. Always knew I could get a smile from Marty. But we also had an opportunity to have some good heart to hearts. As the office was closing down, not closing down, but closing down for the day, and few people are left in the office, and Marty was always one of those people. And if
Yeah.
you needed somebody to talk to or just somebody to lift your day, Marty was that person. Always so sweet and upbeat. And
Yeah.
let's get Marty on repeat if we can.
Oh, for sure. For sure. She will be missed. I will miss at conferences. Occasionally we'd go out to dinner or go on walks and just be able to, just catch up on what her kids are up to and what my kids are up to, all of that stuff. It's great to have people that you work with where it's just not work, where you have a true friendship and you can talk about life. So
Absolutely. Yeah. It's important. Connect with those around you. You spend a lot of time with your coworkers. You might as well have develop some kind of deeper relationships with them, and
Yep,
you never know who you can help or who can help you at some.
that's right. That's right. Hey, I want to give a shout out to Myra, who is new to the chapter advisory board. She's joined. She's said hello, everyone. And
I
Myra
really,
just had a birthday. I think it was her 35th birthday. Happy 35th, Myra. And Mandy Hicks says hello. Hey, Mandy, it's good to see you today. And our friend Renee Billinger from the Kansas Tundra. So, out in the Midwest, it sounds like it must be cold out there. I think it's
cool.
cold in Salt Lake area. In the Salt Lake area, it's pretty cold right now. We had a week or so of where it felt like spring was trying to sneak in. It's a little early for that, but um, now the tundra has hit again. Like I call it the dog days of winter. After Christmas, I'm kind of done with the snow and the bitter
Yeah.
cold, but we're just kind of getting into it. So we're just enduring the next few months
The
of
dog days of
that.
winter. Yeah.
As you're in Maui,
Well,
yeah,
Malibu,
or
Maui.
Malibu, sorry, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, Maui would be cool too.
But yeah, so we're going to kick this off by bringing on Terry Fletcher, and she's joining us right now. Renee Bellinger says she's buried under 14 inches of snow with -0 wind chills. That does not sound fun.
Yeah.
Eh,
Hopefully you're staying safe and warm and have multiple sources of heat.
yes. Terry Fletcher, how are you?
Very
Good morning. I'm good. How's everybody?
Oh, we're great. We are
great.
great. I'm speaking for you, Dave. You're great, right?
I'm doing great too. Thanks, Terry. It's good to see you.
Yeah, I'm happy that we're out of the fire zone here in California. So
Oh,
Where
where
are
are you
you in
at?
California?
I'm in Southern California, but I'm about 68 miles south of the fire zone in the Pacific Palisade Malibu area. I'm in the Laguna Beach area. So um we're getting the smoke, and you can see it in the skies, but we only had one fire and they put it out so pretty quickly. So but the wind was terrible last night. It was, oh my gosh, thought my roof was going to fall off our house, but we're okay.
I thought my RV was gonna tip over because I
Are
was
you
up.
in California too?
I'm
Oh,
I'm in Malibu.
oh
So
my gosh. So you're
yeah.
kind of right in the
Just
heart of
right on
it.
the
Okay.
coast.
Well, be safe
Yeah.
out there, Dave.
It's thanks. I feel like I'm in a good spot, but last night, yeah, the wind was just
Oh,
crazy.
awful.
Well,
Yeah.
and not even going one certain direction. It was just like it was swirling and
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, we have a swimming pool and I kept hearing it and I kept looking out going, okay, the waves are bigger in the swimming pool than they are at the ocean right now. So it's a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, Terry, I don't think this is your first time on Social Hour.
No,
Have
it's
you
my
been with
second.
us? Yep, that's right. It's been a while, so we're
It
glad to have you
has.
back. And we have something very important to talk about.
Yeah.
And I remember in our emails back and forth, you're like, this could be a webinar.
This could be a
So let's
problem.
try to
Yeah.
reel it in. So you wrote an article that's in the current issue of AAPC, the magazine, called Telehealth 2025, the final rule. COVID kind of pushed telehealth to the forefront. Tell us about what's happening now and to what our members and coders can expect going
Okay,
forward.
so just so the members know that when you submit an article, they need it 2 months in advance for publication and everything. So what was said in November was more of this is what we think will happen. And then we waited till the last hour of Congress, as they always do, which was December 20th. And they came back and gave us a 90-day reprieve, basically, and said that, you can continue to do telehealth for 90 days the way you've been doing it, but there are some exceptions. So, for example, audio only, and it's very confusing out there for people right now. How the final rule reads is that audio only is only going to be allowed when the patient has diagnoses that are substance abuse disorders, end-stage renal disease, clinical assessments, or behavioral health. And behavioral health has been made permanent for a lot of things, which I think is a good thing. Now, some people are taking the interpretation of the rule a step further and reading through it and thinking that if the patient just says, I don't want to be on video, then no matter what their diagnosis, we can do audio only. I'm not interpreting that way. So if you want to take that business risk, that's up to you. It's 90 days. I wouldn't, because we have a new sheriff coming in on both, HHS and Medicare. So for me, it's they're specific to diagnoses based on what I'm reading, because even when you go down to the kind of the end of the section, and it's page like 97,760. I mean, I've gone through all of it. It basically talks about, again, the FQ modifier, which is specific to behavioral health. And they talk about the 93 modifier, which in CPT doesn't have any office visits listed on it. And because Medicare also put the new telehealth codes, audio only and audio video, in an what they call an I status, which is invalid, I think they're trying to make a point. We deleted the audio only 99441 to 443. We gave you specific diagnoses. We're not allowing the new codes. We're going against CPT rules. I mean, to me, take the hint. They're trying to make a point here. So I just think everyone needs to proceed with caution on whatever interpretation you use, and I'm going to give you my best practices.
Okay. Well, in your article, you said Congress could change everything.
Yeah. So and it's funny that you say this, Alex, because when I do instruction on telehealth, and I taught 19 telehealth webinars and 2 live last year in on-site conferences. And so I'm just like, telehealth, oh my gosh, it's, what's crazy is that when I've spoken to a lot of people, I say, so pre-pandemic, when we have to realize is there's a lot of people out there that started their career in coding be prior or after the pandemic. So they look at us and go, what are you talking about? And so we have to remember, not everybody knows what pre-pandemic rules are. And just quickly, so again, we don't make this webinar-y, is that prior to the pandemic, so prior to March 1st, 2020, there was something called an originating site where the patient is. And then there's a distant site where the provider is. Pretty easy explanation. But there were some limitations on geographic location, which is different than place of service. Place of service is where the patient is. Geographic location is where they are in their town, where they live, where, what they're around. And the geographic location was specific to depressed areas, metropolitan areas that didn't have a physician within a 50-mile radius. They call them HRSA areas. And so in HIPSA areas. And so there's a algorithm that's figured out, and how the government figures out what those areas are. We call them Area 99. And so unless this is fixed in 90 days, they're going back to that, except for behavioral health and some specific services, that's going to be the only option for patients. Now, just of note, because I just want to make sure everyone's aware of this, there were several commercial plans that came out and said they're also not recognizing the new telehealth code. So everyone, you really need to look and see what your individual payers are doing in your practice that you're contracted with. So Aetna, Blue Cross Blue Shield, North Dakota, United Healthcare, I mean, my plan, HealthNet, they all said, we're not recognizing the new codes either. And some of these commercial plans are going to as far as saying, because again, think about the state rules. They have to cover telehealth. They don't have to pay for it the way everyone thinks they should. So they're saying we have panel physicians you can use, not your own. So there's just a lot of nuances with telehealth that I think everyone needs to do their research, do their due diligence, make sure they're taking reputable courses in this, and make sure that you're kind of on board. So, and I know I present several for AAPC as well, and we try to make sure that we are up to date. I think I drive your webinar area crazy, because they're like, can we get the PowerPoint, within a month? I'm like, no, you can get about 3 days before. So I have to make sure it's accurate.
You make Kira nervous.
That's
I
right.
I do. She's like, oh my gosh, Terry doesn't give it. Then when I give it, she's like, oh, that came out yesterday. I'm like, I tried to tell you. Yeah.
Most updated information. That's great.
Yeah.
Terry, there's a little box in your article saying ensure telehealth compliance, and that's my thought as you have shared what's happening. How can coders and facilities ensure their compliance? Like, what would you recommend?
Yeah. If it was me, I would first go by the Medicare guidelines, because their published guidance is so straightforward. It's just, well, let me back up there. It's Medicare speak, but it's published guidance that you can find. How about that? And because there are some interpretive issues there, I would always have your information in front of you because the doctors are going to ask you, where did you find that? And we don't want them to say, you don't want to say, well, because Terry said, no, 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 or APC said, no. We want to say, well, because the Federal Register, page 97,000, or, the Social Security Act 410 point this, so you have to have chapter verse to be able to support what you bring back to your providers, and just make sure that you have it dated, time stamped, where you got it, and that way the providers know. And when you look at your private payers and commercial plans, do your due diligence and make sure that you're also getting that information. And you might have to actually reach out to a patient if you don't have access to that and say, can I see your policy? And some of my clients have done that, and they said, oh, that's the best way to find information. We can't get it. And we went to our patient and they're like, oh, here's how you look. So it's kind of crazy.
Okay. There are a few links in the article listed
Yes.
as resources at the bottom of page 23 if anybody watching is curious. Do those links stand up now? I mean, you mentioned that this
Yes,
is
they
written
do.
in November.
They
Okay.
do stand up now. They also have been updated. So when those links are put in, they still get updated when you click on them.
Okay.
So I think the interesting thing is that CMS put out that list of covered CPT codes for telehealth, and it gives you a column if it's audio only, or if it's not, it's blank. If it is allowed, it says yes. Did you know that's gone? The most recent one was in November. They actually wiped it from being able to find it. So I thought that was interesting. Luckily, I downloaded the last copy, but it was an Excel spreadsheet. Yeah, so if you try to find the current one's from November.
Okay.
And
All right.
it's a link on the article as well. But I have reached out to make sure that to Renee to see if they want that article updated, because, and I think Dave knows this, being on the forefront, both of you probably do, information changes and telehealth changes, it seems like every month. And so, what you might have thought you should have done a month ago, or even, in November when I wrote the article, is different in January 2025. So.
I was going to ask you a question about that, Terry. Just with all the emerging technology with telehealth, possibilities of AI nurses, AI receptionists over telehealth, was there anything like that that was like, and not necessarily AI, but I just mean new technology in general, that's something that maybe we should be aware of that might be coming?
I really hope that's far down the line. I think, it's hard to avoid, kind of like, when I kicked and screamed when I had to change from my BlackBerry to my iPhone. I think that, when we remember, now you guys might be a little young, I'm not sure, but remember when we had the faxes that had the rolled paper that came out of faxes, and all of a sudden it was really pretty. And now I don't know very many people have fax machines because it's all done through, electronic on the computer. So technology is going to go forward with or without us. And so I truly believe that there's going to be something like that in the future. The problem we have right now, and you can see this in Chat GPT and some of the different companies, there's no safeguards. There's a lot of bias. There's a lot of things that there's hallucinations. I was just doing an audit for a payer, the pretty big payer, and one of the hallucinations was, instead of ruptured appendix, it was ruptured Achilles. Well, those are two totally different things, and it put it through, and the doctor didn't check the information. And so it just ended up being a spiral as far as medicines and treatment plans. And so that's where right now, until there's some oversight and things like that, you have to be really cautious. I think some of it's very good and some of it's not so good.
Yeah. So that's still a ways down the road, it sounds like.
I believe it is. I think that they're trying to move it quicker than it's supposed to, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully there'll be some, some regulatory guidance on that. I think the big problem is that you have to rely that people are checking for accuracy. I do a lot of the AI testing for a lot of different companies, and the resources are inaccurate. They say that this is where, the cited
They
works.
contradict each other.
Yeah, they do. They contradict, or they're wrong. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
not a cited works from there. And then actually, you'll find this funny. There was one AI that I was looking at, and one of the cited references came from me and my website. I was like, oh, there I am. So it was just kind of funny to me to see that. I was like, oh, what do you know? I'm in AI now. So
Cool. They know where you're at.
I know they find me.
Terry, I'm curious. as we talked about when you first came on, COVID really, it was difficult in so many ways, horrible in so many ways, but it also ushered in a new change of a new way of doing things and with certain things. And telemedicine is one of those things. Has that evolution since the pandemic to now, has that been a positive thing for telehealth?
I think I'm going to answer that yes and no. I think, and a lot of people might think that maybe I'm not a proponent of telehealth. I absolutely am. I think there's a place for it. I absolutely love it for behavioral health, mental health. I think for patients who have annual well visits and a lot of the well checks, I think it's a really good thing. Where I don't like it, it actually kind of a quick personal story. My father-in-law during COVID, he had a very bad inner groin rash and he was 90 years old. And they told him to all to stay home. As you remember, you couldn't even go to your doctor's office. But he was 90. He didn't have a capability of doing audio and video, didn't even understand how his phone worked. So they tried to diagnose it over the phone and so on. Well, 4 months went by. Finally, I went out there because I have a clinical background, but I'm not a practicing nurse anymore, and just said, you know, Dad, what's going on? Turns out they misdiagnosed him and it was Hodgkin's lymphoma, and he passed away a year later. And then I've had a couple of physicians tell me that, sorry, that was hard for me to say out loud. But then there was a couple of physicians said that they've had a problem with patients not coming in who have neurological deficits. They can't see them getting up out of a chair. And when they're home, they're in a comfortable setting and they don't see that maybe they could have start of something terrible. So there are times when I think it's important and it's appropriate, and there's times when it isn't. And Medicare put out the C2C, the care to care guidance, but they say things like, this is when telehealth is most likely appropriate and less likely appropriate, instead of saying, don't do it for this and do it for this. And so that's where I think we have a breakdown, in my opinion, clinically, that it just became such a free for all, do it for anything. And we have a lot of providers now that have decided not to come back to a brick and mortar because of the cost. And if you take Medicaid at all in California or Arizona or certain, you have to have a place the patient can go in person if you also offer, telehealth. So I think there's just a lot of things that people didn't consider, and it became political instead of really about the patient. So here we are.
So much nuance is missed when you're not face to face.
When you're not, when you're not face to face. Yeah, I mean, that you can't palpate a mass. You can't see up, even in the best of circumstances with audio and video, the connection can't give you exactly what you're looking at. I mean, a patient can have a different complexion, and in person, you're just like, oh my gosh, you're as white as a ghost. What's going on there? So a lot of things that I think can be missed by not having that in-person option. I wish they would put money into mobile health, where more patients would get the mobile, like Amazon. I mean, how many times does Amazon show up at somebody's house, to make it a medical, transport? I think that would be really helpful.
That'd be cool. Terry, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, and it's always a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you. Anytime. I appreciate having me.
Thanks for sharing your story too about your dad.
Yeah, thank you. All right, guys.
Bye, Terry.
Have a
you
good
take care.
year. Thank
Stay
you.
safe out there.
Thank you.
All right, Dave. That was enlightening. And I think about our family practice offices, our coders who work there. I mean, telehealth is evolving, growing, and hopefully what Terry has shared will help them out.
Yeah, and ultimately it's about providing, quick quality care, right? Quick, efficient quality care. And if we can do that over the phone or over video calls or whatever, then great. I think whatever avenues we can do it best.
Yeah. Well, we have these amazing experts with us right now. And what are your guys' thoughts on telehealth? Anything come to your mind? We just had this great discussion with Terry Fletcher about telehealth and some of the changes. Did that impact any of you in your work? Stephanie the Barge. Tell us. Just give us a little taste of what.
Yeah, we do telehealth because we treat cancer patients at my practice, and those patients can't make it to the office very often. Like they're sick or they're dying, and so telehealth is such a huge impact in our state in Maine. We are we are, see, we have a lot of sick patients up here, you know, like, and a lot of them can't make it because of snow, you know, or something to that effect because of the weather. So I am hoping and praying and saying all the things to everybody that they'll extend it and to make it for our patients.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Stephanie. That would be tough. Any other thoughts?
I totally agree with Stephanie. I'm in oncology as well, and some of our patients are in rehab, or they don't have transportation every single day to get to their appointments, or they may wake up with a, neutropenic fever or something like that, and it's easier to do a telehealth appointment to be able to direct the patient appropriately. So I'm just, Stephanie's boat, praying hopefully that we're able to continue those services.
Awesome.
Yeah, same here in New Mexico, especially because we have a lot of rural areas and multi-specialty. And so trying to get our patients in and seen. And so, yes, we'll see what happens at the end of March.
Okay.
Fingers
All right.
crossed.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Terry mentions a new sheriff in town, right? The HHS secretary, how big of an impact is that? I'm curious because I don't know. I'm just curious if
Great
you all
question.
have certain feelings about it. Does it change much of what you do day to day?
Just
Or does it make
we just don't know what's going to happen, right? So you just don't
Yeah.
know if it's going to get pulled or some reg's going to get put, some initiatives going to. We just don't. We don't know.
So
Could be
have you
good.
seen
Could be
in the
bad. We don't know.
past, yeah, like 4 years ago, did you see much difference there as far as regulation or anything like that? Or was it like maybe a few minor things, but pretty much the same?
I would say it was huge because of the pandemic. Things
Oh,
were
makes
things
sense.
were changing
Oh,
daily.
that.
Yeah,
So
don't
it was
forget about
huge. Yeah, things
That
were
was
changing on the
going
daily, right?
On the minute, Becky, on the minute.
Oh my gosh, yes, that was craziness.
Well, then hopefully coming into this next one, things will kind of can maybe even out a little bit and be a little more solid going forward.
Yes.
Yes, hopefully we'll get a better grasp on how things will move forward and what they're going to do with the telehealth services. Because with the pandemic, it proved that we could see our patients and take care of them. And so, are we going to go back to what it was before? That's the big question. But I think it's proven that we're able to, be able to see our patients and take care of them because of it. That was one good thing that came out of that.
Hey, guys, I'm going to just kind of do a quick introduction because many or most of you have been on Social Hour before. Rita and Stephanie Tam, who were on the National Advisory Board and still are, even though it recently has changed. And then Becky Strom and Stephanie Sabarge, who just finished their tenure. So thank you both for your service. Stephanie, you served 2 terms.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so thank you guys for joining us. Then we have Haley Gardner, who, if you watch IMAPC interviews, it might just be my mom, Haley, who watches those, but she loves you. But you've been interviewed there. I interviewed you in Philly. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I got into coding kind of accidentally. I actually got into coding because my aunt said, "Why don't you go into it?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So, but I have really enjoyed my career so far, and I like Rita and Stephanie. I work in oncology, but I've been able to join the leadership group and be able to grow in a lot of different ways in my career through AAPC stuff. So
Awesome.
And did you have prior experience leading up to joining AAPC, becoming a member? Or what was your experience leading up to all this?
leading up to AAPC in general.
Yeah, leading up to AAPC in general. I guess I'm wondering, did you come from a different industry or was it just kind of
So
like,
I was in school to be a teacher,
okay,
but I was working as a pharmacy tech at the time. And I kind of realized that teaching wasn't for me and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So my like I said, my aunt just suggested, what about coding? So I signed up for a class the next day and tried it.
Cool.
Well,
Did you do our virtual instructor-led training
I
classes?
didn't. I went through a kind of a third party
Okay.
course that did both the CCA and the CPC training. So
Gotcha. And CCA, there's so many credentials. I'm not as familiar with that one. And if it's our
that one's
competition,
through a
fine. What
HEMA.
is that
that's
one?
a HEMA.
Yeah, that one's through
Certified.
a HEMA. It's like a step below the CCS.
So can
Yeah.
you take both exams through that one course if you wanted to and get full certifications or? Oh,
Yep.
nice. Cool. Why not? That's awesome.
Haley has an awesome story, and especially you made big sacrifices to kickstart your career by moving, and
Yes.
so check that out. Look her up on the AAPC YouTube channel. Real quick before we kick into this a little further, Brenda Stevens, our friend on the cab, says hello all. Hey Brenda, hopefully you're warm out in Maryland. Our friend Bonnie Patterson Hauser, she's like all over social media. She's so helpful with helping our members. She says hi from Tennessee and stay warm and safe. Sharon Oliver has joined us, and just grateful and glad to have you guys all join us today. Now, kicking into our next segment and why you guys are here, I want to tell you that I had a friend who I met at Rita's Philly chapter conference, is not last June, but the June before. Rita had me out. I met a gentleman named Mike Sankos, who's become a great friend, and just watching his career evolve in different ways. And he texted me and said, hey, I'm interested in this emerging leaders program. I keep pushing him to write articles, to be more involved with this chapter. And I think like the board and leadership opportunities are catching his attention. The emerging leadership program has. I said, you got to watch this webcast. I said, I'll send you a link if you can't watch it during the day. But we're here to talk about that. We're talking to Mike today, guys. So,
Hello.
this is Stephanie Tam. Would you kick us off and talking and telling us about a little bit about the Emerging Leadership Program? This will be our second time hosting this. What can you share, Stephanie?
Yeah, thank you, Alex and Dave, and Happy New Year, everybody. And I guess this is just for Mike. But the Emerging Leaders Program, it was so exciting because last year was our first time doing this program. Myself, Rita, Stephanie, Becky, and the whole membership committee from the National Advisory Board created this program because we wanted to identify and develop and elevate these next generation of leaders like Haley. She is among our 40 students of our inaugural class. And this is a 10-month rigorous program where we meet every Saturday, like once a month on a Saturday or like a weekday evening. We have topics like leadership styles, communication skills, teamworking, networking, all these skills that we want to help our future leaders. And there's assignments that are given to the students, and they must be submitted, and the instructors grade them. But Rita does such a great job with finding the faculty. We hear from like healthcare experts from all over, from AAPC leaders, but also people, experts in the industry, which is amazing. And yeah, and it's just, there's a application process. So we're very excited to open the application process again. Today is the first day. So there is eligibility criteria, which I can go over as well if you're interested. So you need to be an active member in good standing for at least 2 years, have at least one or more AAPC core credential like the CPC, COC, CIC, CRC, CPB, or CPMA. Have to have at least 3 to 5 years of healthcare experience or 1 year of supervisory experience, and just regularly attend your local chapter meetings. We want someone who's in the community, who has a good foundation of what AAPC is. And then you also just need to submit your resume, 2 professional recommendation letters, and that could be from your local chapter officer or from your supervisor, a colleague who would like to write a recommendation letter for you. And the application is closed January 31st, so you have about a whole month to get that in. And we look forward to hearing about, like, reading your applications and selecting our next class. I don't know, Haley, do you want to talk about more about your experience, why people should apply? Like, how's it going so far?
So it's been very thorough. Like I don't know that when I applied, I knew what all was involved. It was just like, hey, something to apply for through AAPC. It's free. Cool. Um, so so that's kind of what got me interested. And then when we signed up, like going over how you are going to have homework, it is going to be there's team projects or group projects, and it's not just you're going to class once a month and not using it. And it's very healthcare based. That's what I've really liked is it's not, I'm going to some leadership conference and not learning anything specific to my field. Like our last assignment was actually to review a payer policy and write different information about that. So it is very relevant to what we do day in and day out and how to lead people within our industry. So that's what I've really enjoyed.
And I really love that your class, everybody interacts with each other. You guys ask for like career tips. If you're looking for the next position, you guys are like messaging each other, just talking to each other and networking. And I love that you built this connection with each other.
There's a lot of communication, whether through texting, email, WhatsApp, and then there's also like personal, like I've met 2 or 3 people that I'm texting and calling constantly that are in the class that I met at Philadelphia conference or just haven't even met in person, but we've clicked, getting along within the class. So it's been a lot of fun.
Stephanie, I've dropped a link to the web page and application page for the Emergency Leaders Program into the comments. Sonia Winstead says, I'm in the program. It is wonderful and everyone should apply. So much information and guidance. It is a great program. I'm curious, what makes a good candidate for this? Are you looking for those who already have they have to have a little bit of leadership experience or in a leadership role? What are you looking for?
Yeah, we're just looking for someone who has a little bit of experience. So I mentioned earlier, like the holding like 3 to 5 years of experience in healthcare or 1 year of supervisory experience. But after that, the program is there to build our leaders. So if you don't have that leadership experience yet, I'm sure this program will help you develop those skills.
It'll give you the availability to feel I guess just to be able to go for a leadership position. I think that's the other thing. So, if you're not in one, maybe you're a coder that wants to maybe take a coding supervisor role. And this is, something that you've been coding for the last 3 to 5 years. And you're like, hey, I'm interested in moving up, but I need to have that additional preparation. So
It's been really an experience just from, I know, our involvement, because not only have some of us taught the class, but we are mentors of the students. And Haley and I have a great relationship. She'll reach out to me for a question or, anything that she needs, or it's just been a wonderful experience from a communication perspective, a support perspective, but seeing the interaction between the students has been amazing. A lot of us sometimes take courses, whether you're at a university or maybe it's at work, and you don't see that camaraderie, you don't see that support. And this has just been an example of an amazing team. And I'll call it a team because that's what they are, because they're asking each other questions about assignments. They're saying, hey, how did you figure this out? Or, I might not understand this fully, and so forth. So, each student receives a mentor who you can associate with. If you feel closer to maybe another leader, that's fine within our group. But we all want to make sure that everybody knows that we're here to help. And a lot of us have had students come back to us and say, can you review this? What do you think of this before I submit? And it's just been wonderful. I mean, our faculty, top notch. I mean, a lot of people know the names out there. I mean, you have Mike Misko, you have Colleen Gianastasio, Rhonda, Jessica Dobbs-Miller. You also have Marianne Durling, Pam Warren, Jean. There's just so many of us that are involved in this program that really want to see our members succeed in leadership. You've heard me say this before. A lot of us are coming to that point where we're only here for a little bit longer, right? We're going to retire, and we need that new generation to pick up where we left off. So it's just been wonderful. It's just been a fantastic experience, not only for us, but for the NAB as a whole. We do have interaction from all the committees, and not just the membership committee, to have put this forward.
I have to read this comment. It's from Ryan Goslin, who I think Haley knows. He says, this program that Haley attended was one of the deciding factors for me when extending her an offer for my management role. So it's being recognized by employers. I think that's so awesome to see. Rita, I'm curious because it sounds like you pulled together the faculty. So
yeah, so when we went forward with this, each one of us led a committee to be able to dive into it. So Stephanie did the application process. Stephanie and a bunch of us did the policies. Becky was involved in all of that, also kind of creating that social media presence as well. And I was the curriculum and the faculty. So,
okay, so my question for you,
everybody's input.
Well, does the committee or does the NAB come to you and say, these are the topics we should touch on, and then you find the faculty, or does your group do that whole bit?
Yeah, so our group, our subcommittee created the curriculum. So we started thinking about, like, what are the things out there that are important to be a successful leader in healthcare? And that's how we started to put that together. So we started to look at that. What subject matter needs to be touched within that curriculum? So for instance, we had our first course was Intro to Healthcare. So Carol Lumpkins was our first instructor, and she actually went over a little bit of everything. So it was a sprinkling of everything that was going to come forward. And from that, we started to put it in all of the different sessions. We created it over a time period. We all decided that there should be a final project, and the project being a group project, because when you're working in any healthcare institution, there are many times where you are put in a situation with other team members to create either strategic planning or goals, or revenue cycle processes, and all these things that we deal with every day. So putting people in a group environment to create a project was something that we felt would benefit them to know, like, this is what's going to come in the future, basically. So when we did the curriculum, I had asked all of our team on the NAB who they thought would be a great instructor. And some of us submitted a lot of the same names. And then what we did is we did a survey amongst ourselves, and we rated everyone and went through, like, what we thought they would be really good at teaching. And that's how we started. That's how we built the curriculum and the faculty associated with those topics. And it just worked out really well. We have a final project that's due in March, and that is a very intense project that has to be completed by the group. And so there's a lot of involvement with that as well. We asked for feedback at the end of the sessions, at the end of the
Program.
the session, the course. Oh my gosh, I couldn't think of the word. At the end of the course, we will send out a survey to our students and our faculty to say, were we on point? Did we miss anything? How can we improve this? And we're going to move forward for the next year to say, okay, maybe we need to tweak things, because it was all new to us. And as we went through the process, we started adding things. Oh, we need to do that. Oh, we have to add this. And we started doing that through the year, which now we have a solidified process. But, we always want feedback, because that's how you improve things.
There's a question from Sandra Ross. She says, I have a question about the letter of recommendation. Stephanie said 2 and gave examples, but the application states 1 has to be from your employer. She says, I wish it was just 2 professional recommendation letters and 1 from your employer is accepted but not required. Stephanie, can you talk to that, Stephanie Tam?
I'm just gonna double check what we have. I don't know. What of you guys want to check?
Why you look up?
Yeah. It's like a leader. Like if you have a manager or supervisor or an AVP, like someone from your organization that's in that leadership role that you have a reporting line to, that's what we're asking for, not the actual entity, but any one of those levels.
Okay. All right. Becky Strom, tell us about your role with the program and what you saw from it over the last year.
Oh my gosh, just to piggyback on what Rita said as far as being assigned as a mentor to some of our students, that alone has been amazing and getting that feedback to them. I've had a couple of students reach out and asking for help, and just that communication. I'm pretty much in every single session so far. I think I've missed one. And so, even though some of them I am a moderator and some I am not, I just love the way that everybody asks questions and communicates with each other. And, even on our WhatsApp, it's just been amazing. And for me personally, being able to help others and bring up our future leaders has been just, I can't even explain it. It's heartfelt, honestly. And this program, has brought that out in all of us, the instructors, all of us that have put it together, and then seeing it to fruition. It's just absolutely amazing. I'm looking forward to seeing our graduates at HealthCon. I think the others can agree to that as well. But yeah, it's something that I'm very proud of and proud of to do. And to be there as a resource for any of them, even as we move off, Stephanie Labarge and I move off of this and turn it over to the new folks. We're always here to help in any way.
I love it.
And that just
Hey,
goes to how awesome our NAB members, our CAB members, everybody who volunteers for AAPC and all these different committees. You donate a lot of your time and your expertise to it. So huge thanks and huge shout out to all of our volunteers, this
absolutely.
panel included. So
I love that. Rita mentioned Corella, who teaches in the program. She's on the National Advisory Board. She's watching, guys. I just wanted you to know, Rita. She's give us a shout out. Erica Payne asked, the application this year that's open now would be for the next year program. Is that right?
So it would be for this year's program. This year's program will be from May 2025 to February 2026.
And if they apply now and that closes at the end of the month, when will they be notified if they're accepted?
They will be notified by HealthCon, like probably in February, March. They'll definitely hear back. So what happens is after we select our students, we send them an acknowledgement form saying that these are the dates of the sessions. We want to make sure that they attend most of the sessions. Of course, we understand if there's certain situations or certain circumstances that something comes up, then we could make some exceptions, but we want to make sure that the students are committed to this program. Like we mentioned before, it's only once a month. So if you miss that one class, you're missing one whole month of class, I guess. And then like Haley mentioned, there's an assignment after. So if you miss that class, the assignment might be a little more difficult to do. So we just want to make sure we have their commitment to the program after. And then after that, we'll have our class and then we'll announce those participants for our next Emerging Leaders program at HealthCon. Usually Bevan does that.
Okay. Hey, if you
And
miss a
there's
class,
usually,
go ahead, Rita. Sorry.
sorry, so usually we were amazed at the amount of applications we got last year. So it does take time for us to review and kind of grade them and then get together and just review them all together to make sure that, we're choosing the right, type of member for the program. So it takes a little bit of time. So yeah, it takes at least a month for us to be able to make that decision because of the volume. And I don't even know what the volume is going to be this year because we were surprised last year.
As Stephanie was talking about missing a class, my thoughts went back to Haley talking about community. Like it's the purpose is not necessarily to network, but that just happens as you're learning together and evolving as leaders together. So you would not want to miss a class, right? I mean, you're missing so much, not only the class work, but building those relationships with the group.
Correct. Yeah. And active participation is one of those criterias for completing the course. So we want people to chat, we want people to talk, and sometimes we break into small groups as well during our classes. So if you're not there, then you're missing part of that action.
Haley, do you feel like the friends that you've made would you call them mentors like if you had questions about leadership and things, how someone might operate in their facility, would this be a group that you rely on?
Oh yeah. On a personal level, and like we have a group messaging, and I don't, people are always asking just the whole group, like that way you get different opinions and different, and that's been great too. But I would definitely say the people that I've built a personal relationship with are people I would rely on in the future.
That's awesome. I would imagine those relationships will endure past the end of the program
Yeah.
throughout your career. So that's pretty cool. Awesome.
Yeah, I have plans to meet up at conferences and stuff like that.
Yeah, there were a few people at regional, and we all like planned to, make sure we knew who was going to be there and meet up beforehand. So that was fun.
Yeah, it makes a difference too, going to those events already knowing some people there. It's really fun. And even if you don't know anyone there, go to conference and sit at a table where you don't know someone, you're gonna meet some really interesting people. I always have the best time just going sitting down next to whoever, and then you start a conversation and get such cool connections with people.
And they are already coordinating with each other
Yeah.
for this year's HealthCon.
Are they? Thanks.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wonder if there are emerging leader ribbons for your name badge. Do they have those?
Working on that.
We have some things in the works. We have
Yes.
some things in the works.
Nice. Some matching sweatshirts.
I also don't think I mentioned that there's no cost to participate in the program at all either. So this is a free program for anybody who wants to join.
Yeah, and we're trying to keep it, the thing is we don't have 100, 150 people, right? It's smaller because we want to keep it intimate. We want there to be that collaboration. We want there to be, everybody knowing each other's name and seeing, because you're going to get to know this group 10-month course, it's every month you're going to be meeting with the same people and talking and discussing and inside and outside the classroom. So really, we want to keep it as intimate as possible, but so that's why we do have it limited right now at 40. That's what we have, but I think that's a good size for what, to keep it.
Yeah, that's a lot of people still, but I love how many you're giving an opportunity. So that's awesome. Well, I just dropped the link in one more time. If you're watching on YouTube, you can find the link in the description of the YouTube video. If you're listening on the podcast, it'll be in the description of the podcast. I'm looking at the webpage now, and the applications open through January 31st. If people have questions, if members have questions as they're applying, just as we did from let's see, Sandra, how can they get those questions answered, you guys?
They can email us at our NAB emails. They're posted online, so they're able to reach out to us and ask a question in case they're not sure of how to do it or so forth. The other thing I wanted to add is our students are from all over the US and India. So we were very lucky that when we were choosing the students, we had no clue. And then all of a sudden we found out that, we had a vast majority from all over, which is what we wanted, with extreme differences in their roles and what they do every single day. So that's why I think this class was really united, because there were so many different things about each one of them, and also the main goal at the end. So, which is why I thought was very great.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Well, we have we're all set. If you're looking for any of these ladies, Haley, I'm sure they could find you on LinkedIn.
Yes.
If you have, someone might want experience or get insight into your experience that we maybe didn't touch here, but you can Google AAPC NAB, and the top search will likely be the National Advisory Board page on our website, and then you can see each of these ladies on that page and a link to their email. So if you have any questions about the application process, you can ask them through that. But we're super excited about this. Thank you so much, you guys, for all of your effort in this. What a great program you've started.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you have a jingle or a
Yeah.
theme song yet, or is that still
Working on it.
We'll have to
Okay.
create that.
Yeah, we got to work on that one.
I know you've got talent in that group, so I'm excited to hear what comes from it.
Yes.
And
Our,
leadership programs are spreading, so I think, AAPC
Yes.
was on the forefront of this, where we
Right,
are.
verse one.
That's
Yeah.
so cool.
well, I
Yes.
love how Ryan shared his experience, just seeing Haley go through the program and it's catching the employer's attention. And what a great benefit it is to our members. So we highly encourage everyone to apply. Okay, well, you guys, thank you so much. I'm going to let the group go, and then Dave and I will wrap up. So thanks so much, you guys. Have a great new year.
Thank
And
you.
we will
Happy New
talk
Year,
to you later.
everybody.
Happy New
Happy New
Year.
Year. Bye.
Happy
Bye.
New Year. Good to see you all.
Bye-bye.
All right. Hey, Dave, you be safe out in Malibu.
Yeah, I'll give you updates as I head back to probably not warmer weather, but safer environments.
Yeah, please.
Yeah,
Love to hear your journey. We're all living vicariously through you.
sometimes. I don't know if that's always the best thing to do, but it is fun, and I'm always happy to share where I'm at, and maybe in 2 weeks I'll be someplace different, so that'll be fun.
Okay.
Stay warm up there though,
Hey,
in that
thanks.
that cold
I
weather.
I want to know before we close down, what is your resolution? Do you have any resolutions? Are you a resolution guy even to start with? Like, what are your plans for 2025 to be a better Dave? You're already excellent, by the way.
Wow, thanks, Alex. I don't know if I should say anything beyond that then. We should end it right there. Um, I used to make New Year's resolutions. I would make one, two, sometimes three of them. But I don't know. As I've gotten older, I've just been trying to just enjoy the moments as they come and not try and plan too far ahead. I mean, overall, there's things in general like, well, I want to just eat healthier, right?
Yeah.
Eat more raw fruits and vegetables, just do things that are better for my health overall. So things
Yeah.
like that. Be
Okay.
more loving, try not to get as triggered over the little things. Stuff like that. That's just things that I try and keep in mind on the daily anyway. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I
Okay.
love the new year and the inspiration to just go forward and kind of a lot of the past, we don't need to carry with us and we can kind of leave that in the past and go forward into new opportunities. Well,
Okay.
what about you, Alex? New Year's
Well, I
resolution,
mean,
is that your thing?
we this with nutrition and things, I totally relate to that. We're getting older, Dave. So we got to eat better, eat well. And so I
It's
hear
true.
you. That resonates with me, and I might need to get that tofu turkey recipe from you.
The tofu turkey. Yeah. I'll send you some stuff.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Okay. We'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Dave. See ya.
Everyone. Bye.
Bye.